Welcome to the Most Valuable Lessons book discussion podcast. The book discussion podcast topic for today is the Think and Grow Rich book by Napoleon Hill.
Ever feel like your thoughts are holding you back instead of propelling you forward, like you're stuck on a hamster wheel instead of actually, making progress?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to dig into today.
Yeah.
We are diving into Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich.
Oh, Think and Grow Rich.
To see if this almost century-old book still holds up today,
Hey.
Are the principles still relevant?
Hmm.
Can they actually help us unlock our potential in the 21st century?
Well, and I think a lot of people are wondering that, which is why they're still reading it.
Exactly. And look, we know you don't have time to dust off a copy and read the whole thing.
You're right.
So we've done the heavy lifting for you.
Yeah.
We've got your YouTube summary. We're going to pull out all the good stuff, all the gold nuggets.
A long book, so yeah.
It is a dense book.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yes, it is.
So the core idea, right? Thoughts are things.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the central premise of Think and Grow Rich.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
It's funny because on the surface, it can sound almost too simple, right?
Right.
Or maybe even a little woo-woo.
Right. Just thinking it'll happen.
Right.
Manifestation, yeah.
But I think what often happens is that people encounter that idea, and it's almost like a little seed gets planted,
Okay.
and they maybe can't shake it.
Mm.
And I think there's a reason for that, because Hill doesn't just say, oh, think positive thoughts and everything's going to be great, He really digs into the mechanics of it.
Exactly. And he backs it up with stories.
He does, yeah.
The story of Edwin Barnes.
Yes.
Talk about a perfect illustration of this idea in action.
Yeah, Barnes is such a great example because here's a guy who, by all accounts, should not have succeeded.
Right. He has nothing.
He has no money, no connections.
No special skills, really.
No, and yet he has this burning desire, this absolute certainty that he is going to work with Thomas Edison.
And not just work with him, but be his partner.
His partner, not even just work for him.
Right.
But be his business partner.
And this is Thomas Edison, right?
Exactly. We're not talking about just, anybody,
Thomas Edison.
the inventor, the businessman.
Not big guy, yeah.
And so Barnes decides that he's going to go meet Edison, and he actually ends up traveling by freight train to get there because he doesn't even have the money for a regular ticket.
That's commitment.
Right.
So he shows up, and Edison, like you said, super sharp guy.
Oh, yeah.
He could spot a phony a mile away.
Totally.
What was it about Barnes that made Edison actually give him the time of day?
Well, and that's what's so interesting because Hill really emphasizes this. Edison himself said that he could spot the people who genuinely possessed this quality of burning desire. He could see it in their eyes and their demeanor. And to Edison, that was the biggest indicator of success.
More than any practical skill set.
Almost, yeah, because Edison's thinking was you can teach someone a skill, but you can't teach them that drive. You can't teach them that fire in the belly.
That's got to come from within.
Exactly, yeah.
So, okay, we need this intense desire.
Yes.
Check. Got it.
Okay.
But then what?
Well, because
I feel like I've had goals and dreams where I've been this close.
Yeah.
And then something happens and I don't know.
You stall out.
Yeah.
You give up.
Yeah, what's that about?
That is such a common experience, and Hill actually addresses this head-on in the book, and he calls it the principle of 3 feet from gold.
3 feet from gold.
Yeah.
I kind of get it, but explain that.
So the idea is, imagine you're a gold prospector, right? You're digging, you're sweating, you're exhausted, but you haven't found anything.
Right.
You're ready to give up.
You're discouraged.
Exactly. You're about to pack it in.
Right.
And you walk away, and what you don't realize is that if you had just kept digging for another 3 feet,
Oh, no.
you would have hit the mother lode.
Oh. That's brutal.
Oh, heartbreak.
That's almost worse than never having tried, I feel like.
Right, because it's that feeling of, I was so close.
Right, exactly. So close. Why didn't I just push a little harder? So is that it? Are we just quitting too soon?
Well, and I think it ties into this idea that we are the masters of our fate, as Hill puts it.
Okay.
But that mastery comes from understanding that there are going to be challenges, there are going to be setbacks, there are going to be moments where you want to give up.
So it's about pushing past those inevitable obstacles.
Yes, exactly.
Not if, but when, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so we're like captains of our own ships, steering with our thoughts.
I love that analogy. Yeah.
But, okay,
Okay.
how do we translate all this lofty thinking into, concrete action?
Well, I think that's where this idea of the subconscious mind comes in.
Okay.
Because it's not enough to just have these thoughts kind of floating around in your head, right? They need to really take root.
Yeah.
And Hill argues that the subconscious mind is like this incredibly powerful force that's always at work shaping our reality.
So it's like our subconscious is always listening,
Always.
always watching,
Yes, always paying attention.
and shaping our reality based on what we feed it.
Exactly. It's like this, he compares it to a magnet, right?
Okay.
So if you're constantly dwelling on lack, on negativity, on what you don't have, you're essentially attracting more of that into your life.
Okay.
But if you can shift your focus to abundance, to opportunity, to what's possible, you start to become attuned to those possibilities.
So we're putting out a certain frequency
Yes, exactly.
and attracting a certain frequency back.
Exactly.
And that's all dictated by our dominant thoughts.
By those deep-seated beliefs, yeah.
Okay, so how do we start tuning our subconscious, so to speak, to attract the good stuff? Is that where desire comes in?
That's exactly where desire comes in, and Hill is very specific about this. He says it has to be more than just a casual, oh, it would be nice if, or wouldn't it be great if?
Right, like winning the lottery.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, everybody wants
It
that.
has to be this all-consuming, this burning desire.
Okay.
He uses the analogy of these ancient commanders who, when they landed on enemy shores, they would burn their ships. So there was no turning back.
No plan B.
No plan B, only forward.
Yeah.
That's the kind of intensity he's talking about.
So no backup plans, unwavering focus on that one goal.
Yes, and I think that's what we saw with Edwin Barnes, right?
Absolutely.
Like he was so fixated on working with Edison that everything else fell away.
Everything else was secondary.
Right, and that's the kind of energy that Hill says fuels real achievement.
So we've got to burn our mental ships, so to speak.
Yes, I think so.
Okay, I like it. I'm on board. But how do we do that?
Well, and that's where Hill doesn't leave us hanging, right?
Right.
He actually gives us 6 very specific steps to transmute, as he puts it, that desire into its physical equivalent.
6 steps. Okay, lay it on us.
You're right, you're right.
All right, so we've got our mental ships burning, no turning back. What are these 6 steps to translate that desire into, well, whatever riches mean to you?
Well, the first thing is you're going to get specific.
Okay.
Hill says, ditch the vague wishes. Instead of just saying, I want more money, you need to figure out the exact amount.
Okay.
Like, write it down. How much do you want?
So no more this, I just want to be financially comfortable.
Right, because that could mean anything.
Yeah,
We
exactly.
got to get crystal clear on the number.
Okay, so step 1, specificity. I like it. What's next?
Step 2 is interesting.
Okay.
It's not just about what you want to get, but what you're willing to give in return.
Ooh, I like that. Okay.
It's about exchange, right?
So it's not just about magically receiving, but about recognizing that achievement requires contribution.
Exactly. What are you willing to sacrifice to work for to earn that desire?
It's about effort, dedication, commitment, whatever that looks like for you.
Exactly. It's about owning your part in the equation.
Okay, so we've defined our desire. We've figured out what we're bringing to the table. What's next?
Step 3 is all about time.
Okay.
Set a deadline.
Don't let it be this nebulous thing,
Exactly. When do you want to achieve this goal?
because otherwise it's just floating out there in the ether.
Right. And a deadline injects urgency. It helps you break down that big goal into smaller steps.
It makes it feel more real, more achievable.
Exactly. Now, step 4 is where the rubber meets the road.
Okay.
No more procrastinating, no more waiting for the perfect moment.
Right, because there's no such thing.
Exactly. Start creating your plan today.
And I'm guessing plan doesn't mean just like daydreaming about the end result.
No, Hill was all about concrete action.
Okay, so how do we make sure our plan is more than just wishful thinking?
Well, ask yourself, who do you need to connect with? What skills do you need to learn? What actions can you take right now, even if they seem small, to move you towards that goal?
It's about breaking it down into manageable steps.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're getting specific, we're figuring out our contribution, setting a deadline, creating a plan. What about steps 5 and 6?
All right, this is where things get interesting.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
Step 5 is all about writing it down.
Writing it down.
Yes. But not just a to-do list. It's more like a declaration. Write a clear, concise statement summarizing everything we've talked about.
So the exact amount, the deadline, what you're giving in return, your plan of action.
All of it.
And then what do we do with this statement?
Step 6 is where you solidify it in your mind.
Okay.
Read that statement aloud twice a day, every single day.
So this is more than just a reminder note stuck on the fridge.
Oh, absolutely.
We're talking about full-on visualization,
Yeah.
right? Like really feeling the emotions, embodying the success as if it's already happened.
Yes, you're essentially imprinting this desire onto your subconscious mind.
Okay, so it's like method acting for our goals.
Exactly. You're stepping into that successful version of yourself.
And Hill believed that this actually works.
He did. He argued that visualization is a powerful tool for creating change.
And you know what? This isn't just some outdated self-help technique.
Right. Think about athletes. They visualize their winning performance all the time.
Exactly. And it's not just athletes, it's entrepreneurs, artists, performers. They use visualization to achieve peak performance.
And it goes back to this idea that our minds are incredibly powerful.
And that we can train them, just like we train our bodies.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the desire, we're visualizing it, we're taking action. But something tells me there's more to it than that, right?
Yeah.
Don't we need a healthy dose of belief to make all of this work?
You're absolutely right. And that's where Hill's second principle comes in. Faith.
Faith. Okay, explain this one to me.
Hill calls faith the head chemist of the mind.
The head chemist.
Yes. It's the force that takes that burning desire and transforms it into tangible results.
So it's not enough to just intellectually understand these steps.
Right.
We have to truly believe in their power to create change.
Exactly. It's about cultivating an unwavering conviction that what you desire is not only possible, but inevitable.
So how do we do that? How do we cultivate that kind of faith?
Hill believed we can strengthen our faith through tools like affirmations
Okay.
and, of course, visualization.
So it's about repeatedly feeding our subconscious mind with the images, emotions, and beliefs that we want to embody.
Yes. You're essentially programming your mind for success.
I like it, programming our minds for success. But is it really as simple as think positive thoughts and good things will come?
Well, Hill goes a little deeper than that.
Okay.
He understood that the subconscious mind doesn't really differentiate between good and bad thoughts in the same way that our conscious mind does.
Yeah.
It's more like, imagine your mind is like a fertile field, right?
I like that, a fertile field.
Whatever you plant in that field, whether it's fear or faith, doubt or determination, it's going to take root and grow.
So it's not just about adding positive thoughts to the mix.
Right.
It's about being mindful of the negative thoughts that we need to weed out.
Exactly, because those weeds will choke out the good stuff.
So choosing our thoughts carefully becomes crucial.
Yes, and Hill stresses the importance of conscious thought direction.
Okay, so we're not just passively hoping for the best. We're actively choosing our thoughts and beliefs.
Exactly. And here's another interesting point. Hill believed that positive emotions like love, enthusiasm, and excitement are incredibly potent.
Okay, so it's not just about thinking positive thoughts. It's about feeling those positive emotions.
Exactly. He saw them as accelerants, amplifying the power of our thoughts and beliefs.
So a positive mindset isn't just about feeling good. It's about creating the most fertile ground for our desires to flourish.
Yes. It's about cultivating that internal environment where success can thrive.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about the subconscious, which, by definition, is operating beneath the surface of our awareness. How much control do we actually have over something that we're not even consciously aware of?
That is the million-dollar question, right? And that's where Hill's third principle, autosuggestion, comes in.
Autosuggestion. Okay, break that down for me.
So Hill believed that while we might not be able to directly control the subconscious mind, we can certainly influence it.
Okay.
And autosuggestion is essentially a way to consciously communicate with our deeper minds.
Intriguing. So what's the user manual for this subconscious reprogramming? How do we actually put autosuggestion into practice?
Okay, so we're not just along for the ride with our subconscious, we can actually learn to steer. Give us the rundown on how autosuggestion actually works.
Well, Hill outlines a process for this, and it starts with finding a quiet space, a place where you can really turn your attention inward. Close your eyes and bring to mind that written statement we talked about, the one with your clearly defined desire, the deadline, your plan of action, the whole shebang.
Okay, got it.
Now here's the key. Don't just read the words, feel them. Really embody the emotions you would experience if you were already living that desired reality.
So it's like method acting for your goals, really stepping into that successful version of ourselves.
Exactly. Visualize it in vivid detail, engage all your senses, and do this consistently every morning and evening. Hill believed that through repeated, emotionally charged visualization, we can imprint those desired beliefs and outcomes directly into our subconscious minds. It's like we're planting those seeds of success, watering them with focused attention and belief, and then watching them blossom into reality.
That's a great way to put it, but like any gardener will tell you, patience is key. You can't get discouraged if you don't see changes overnight.
Right. It's a process.
Exactly. The subconscious mind, just like a garden, it needs time to cultivate those new thought patterns.
So we've covered desire, faith, and this powerful technique of autosuggestion. What other tools does Hill equip us with on this journey to unlock our potential?
Well, he reminds us that while those inner qualities are essential, we can't just wish our way to success, you know? We need practical know-how.
Right. We've got to have something to work with.
Exactly, and that's where Principle 4 comes in, specialized knowledge. Hill was adamant that it's not just about accumulating information, it's about acquiring the specific knowledge and skills needed to excel in your chosen field.
So, for example, someone who dreams of being a world-class musician wouldn't just listen to music all day. They'd be studying with master teachers, practicing their instrument relentlessly, immersing themselves in music theory, performance techniques, really honing their craft.
Exactly. It's about becoming a master of your craft, honing your skills through focused effort and continuous learning. Hill challenges us to identify the knowledge gaps that might be holding us back and then seek out the resources and mentors who can help us bridge that gap.
So, it's not enough to just dream big. We need to equip ourselves with the tools and knowledge to make those dreams a reality. Makes sense. Okay, so let's say we've got the burning desire, the unshakable faith, we're practicing autosuggestion, and we're even acquiring the necessary knowledge. What then? How do we start transforming those ideas into tangible results?
That's where Principle 5 comes into play. Imagination. Hill considered imagination the workshop of the mind, the space where creativity flourishes and innovation takes shape.
So it's not just about daydreaming. It's about actively using our imagination to problem solve, to innovate, to create.
Precisely. And Hill actually differentiated between two forms of imagination. First, there's what he called synthetic imagination, the ability to take existing ideas and combine them in new and useful ways. This is the kind of imagination that helps us to improve upon existing inventions, to refine systems, to optimize processes.
Okay, so if synthetic imagination is about iteration and refinement, what's the other type?
The second, and perhaps more elusive form, is what he called creative imagination. This is where those aha moments come from, those flashes of insight and inspiration that seem to arise from a deeper wellspring within us.
So to use a familiar analogy, it's like synthetic imagination is building a better mousetrap, while creative imagination is coming up with the idea for a self-cleaning house that doesn't even need a mousetrap.
You got it. And Hill believed that cultivating both forms of imagination is essential for achieving extraordinary results. He encouraged readers to engage in activities that spark their creativity, whether it's writing, painting, brainstorming, or simply allowing themselves time for quiet reflection.
It's about making space for those aha moments, those bursts of inspiration that can often lead to breakthroughs.
Exactly. But even the most brilliant ideas, the most innovative concepts, need structure and direction to truly flourish. And that's where Principle 6, organized planning, comes in.
So we're talking about going from that initial spark of inspiration to creating a concrete roadmap for making it happen.
That's the idea. Hill was a firm believer in the power of planning. He stressed the importance of setting clear goals, breaking down large tasks into smaller, more manageable steps, and establishing deadlines to maintain momentum. But he also recognized that we don't have to go it alone in this process. He introduced a concept he called the mastermind, a group of like-minded individuals who come together to support each other in achieving their goals.
So it's like assembling your own personal board of advisors, a team of cheerleaders and accountability partners rolled into one.
Precisely. Hill believed that the synergy created within a mastermind group, the combined wisdom and experience of its members, could be a powerful catalyst for growth and achievement.
It's like that old saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. So we've got the desire, the faith, the autosuggestion, the specialized knowledge, the imagination, and now the organized plan. Are we missing anything? It seems like we've got all the bases covered.
We're getting there. But Hill knew that even the best laid plans are meaningless without the ability to make clear decisions and then, most importantly, to follow through on those decisions consistently.
Ah, yes, the follow-through.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, right?
Absolutely. So that's where Principle 7 comes in. Decision. And of course, its arch nemesis, procrastination.
Procrastination, the ultimate dream killer. So how do we overcome this ever-present obstacle? What's the antidote to the I'll do it tomorrow trap?
Well, Hill believed that indecision often stems from fear of making the wrong choice, fear of failure, fear of judgment, that kind of thing. He encouraged readers to cultivate a bias towards action, to trust their instincts, and to make decisions swiftly and decisively.
So less overthinking, more doing.
Exactly. Hill argued that action, even imperfect action, is the antidote to stagnation. It creates momentum, builds confidence, and often leads to unexpected opportunities.
It's like that quote, "The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now." But let's be real, even the most decisive among us are bound to stumble from time to time. How do we stay the course when faced with those inevitable setbacks?
That's where Principle 8, persistence, comes in. Hill considered persistence the essential factor that separates those who achieve extraordinary results from those who simply dream about them. He understood that the path to success is rarely linear. It's often paved with obstacles, detours, and unexpected challenges.
It's about embracing the messiness of the journey,
Exactly, and being willing to course correct along the way.
not giving up at the first sign of trouble.
Right, because Hill argued that every failure, every setback, holds within it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. He encouraged readers to view challenges not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for growth, learning, and course correction.
So it's less about avoiding failure and more about developing the resilience to bounce back stronger.
Precisely. Hill believed that persistence is a state of mind, a habit that can be cultivated through conscious effort.
So how do we cultivate persistence?
Well, he suggested that we consistently remind ourselves of our why, that deeper reason driving our desires, especially when faced with challenges. He also stressed the importance of surrounding ourselves with a supportive network, like that mastermind group we were talking about, that can offer encouragement, guidance, and accountability during those inevitable moments of doubt.
So it's not just about willpower. It's about cultivating a mindset of resilience, surrounding ourselves with support, and never losing sight of the bigger picture.
You got it. And speaking of the bigger picture, that brings us back to Principle 9, the power of the mastermind. Hill truly believed that collaboration is essential for achieving extraordinary results. He argued that when like-minded individuals come together with a shared vision, a third invisible, intangible force is created.
It's like a collective intelligence emerges, something greater than the sum of its parts.
Exactly. Hill suggested that this third mind can provide invaluable insights, support, and inspiration that we might not be able to access on our own.
So finding your tribe, your people, is about more than just networking. It's about tapping into a collective power that can help you reach new heights.
Precisely. Now we're getting into the final few principles, and these can sometimes be a bit more challenging to unpack within a modern context. Principle 10 is what Hill called the mystery of sex transmutation.
Okay, before we dive into that one, and I know this book was written in a very different time, how can listeners today relate to this principle in a way that feels relevant and empowering?
That's a great question. It's definitely crucial to approach this concept with sensitivity and an understanding of the social norms of Hill's era. However, at its core, this principle isn't actually about sex in a literal sense. It's about understanding and harnessing the power of strong emotions, particularly those associated with creativity, passion, and drive.
So instead of thinking about it as sex transmutation, which feel a bit outdated, we can reframe it as understanding how to channel intense emotions into productive outlets.
Exactly. Think about the raw energy and passion that artists, entrepreneurs, and visionaries pour into their work. Hill was essentially arguing that this same life force, this intense drive, can be harnessed and directed towards achieving any worthy goal.
So it's about recognizing the power of our emotions, both positive and, I'm assuming, even those challenging emotions, and learning to consciously channel them in a way that fuels our dreams instead of derailing them.
You nailed it. Now, the last few principles delve into the more intangible aspects of success. Principle 11. The subconscious mind explores the idea that our subconscious acts as a bridge between our conscious thoughts and what Hill called infinite intelligence.
So it's like our subconscious is this powerful antenna constantly sending and receiving information from a source far vaster than our limited conscious minds.
That's a great way to put it. Hill believed that by understanding the workings of the subconscious mind, by learning to consciously communicate with it through tools like autosuggestion, we can tap into a realm of limitless possibilities.
Okay, I have to admit, this is where things start to feel a bit, heroic for me. Infinite intelligence. Is Hill suggesting we all have psychic powers?
Not quite. Remember, he was writing in a time when concepts like quantum physics and the interconnectedness of all things were just beginning to emerge. While he might not have used the same language we would today, Hill was essentially tapping into the idea that there's a deeper intelligence at play in the universe, a force that we can align with and draw upon to achieve extraordinary things.
So less about predicting the future and more about recognizing that we're part of something much bigger than ourselves, something interconnected, and tapping into that.
Exactly. And when we align ourselves with this infinite intelligence, however we choose to define it, we open ourselves to a flow of creativity, intuition, and guidance that can be truly transformative. That brings us to Principle 12, the brain as a broadcasting and receiving station for thought, and Principle 13, the sixth sense.
So these last two principles are about tapping into our intuition, that gut feeling that often guides us towards the right path.
Precisely. Hill believed that the sixth sense is a culmination of all the previous principles, a state of heightened awareness and intuitive knowing that emerges when we master our thoughts, emotions, and beliefs.
It's about learning to trust that inner voice, that sense of knowing that often transcends logic and reason.
Exactly. And while Hill acknowledged that developing the sixth sense is a lifelong pursuit, he believed that it's a worthwhile endeavor, one that can lead to profound insights, guidance, and fulfillment.
Well, there you have it. Think and Grow Rich, almost a century old, and still offering profound insights for personal growth and achievement. So as we wrap up our deep dive, I'm left with this question. If we could silence those inner critics, those voices of fear and doubt, what incredible dreams might we dare to pursue?
Now, that's a question worth pondering. And perhaps, just perhaps, the answer lies within each of us, waiting to be uncovered, nurtured, and brought to life.
Thank you for watching. Please help to like and subscribe to our channel to get notifications for future videos from our channel.